We return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
Return again.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return.
Return again and again to we return again to love.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return. We return. Return again.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return. We return. Return again and again to truth. To we return again to truth. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return. We return. Return again.
We return.
We return.
We return.
We return. We return. Return again and again to you. We return again to you.
Good morning. Gemar Chatima Tova. I'm so glad to be together for a full day of reflection and learning and forgiveness. This is the season of healing our hearts and souls, of healing the moments we share with each other and the moments with ourselves. This is the season of memory, of remembering our parents and grandparents, the love of generations, the holiness of ancestors. This is the season of stillness, the season of silence and quiet, of deep breaths, of open eyes, of compassion and consolation. This is the season of healing, the season of turning grief to wonder, of loss turning toward hope, the season that binds this year to the next, the season that heralds the redemption of spirit and our return to God's holy word. And we begin that return this morning with prayers of gratitude for the miracles of our body and soul, our very life, on page 1.
My lungs fill, my mouth speaks, my ears hear, my heart beats. Asher, 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 Yatsar. My blood flows, my veins fill. I can run or be still. Asher, 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 Yatsar. Because you created me and made me whole, there is a sanctuary to house my soul. I sleep till I rise. If tears well up, I can cry. Asher, 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 Yatsar. My arms can embrace, my eyes can read your face. Asher, 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 Yatsar. Because you created me and made me whole, there is a sanctuary to house my soul. My lungs fill, my mouth speaks, my ears hear, my heart beats. Asher, 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 Yatsar. Asher, 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 Yatsar. Asher, 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 Yatsar.
Now that we have offered gratitude for our physical bodies, we do so also with the intangible parts of us, our soul, our mind, our spirit. Elohai Neshama in the middle of page 1.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi Tehorai. Ata berata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamra
Hineni is on the bottom of page 1.
הנני העני ממס, נרעש ונפחד מפחד יושב תהילות ישראל. באתי לעמוד ולהתחנן לפניך על עמך ישראל אשר שלחוני, אף על פי שאיני חטאי והגון לכך, לכן אבקש ממך, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי לאה, ואלוהי רחל. אדוני, אדוני, רחום וחנון, אלוהי ישראל, שדי וברע, אהיה מצליח דרכי, אשר אני הולך לעמוד ולבקש, רחמים עליי וירשו לך.
Here I stand, impoverished in merit, trembling and terrified in dread of you, the one who inhabits the praises of Israel, pleading on behalf of your people Israel, even though I am unfit and unworthy for the task. Therefore, gracious and compassionate God, awesome God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of Sarah, Rebekah, Leah, and Rachel, God of the Jewish people, Almighty One, awesome and overwhelming, please make my way successful as I seek mercy for myself and those whom I represent.
כי אתה שומע תפילת עמך ישראל ברחמים, ברוך אתה שומע תפילה.
We rise in body or spirit for our call to worship, Baruch Hu, on the top of page 2. You can be seated.
When it is dark, we yearn for light. Sometimes the light is too much for us, and we seek a cool, comforting darkness. All comes from the one source, all that we deem good and all that we deem evil. We wake in the morning, and it is as if the world were created new. Infinite light spreads over all the finite creatures. We feel the wisdom of creation in the vastness of what is touched and untouched by light, and held by the warm embrace of that wisdom. We are humbled before the intricacy of the touch that has brought all this to be, and the light of lights that illuminates it. Our souls are opened by the light that comes from light.
Adonai Eloheinu, Chem Lagidorah V'Teira, Hamalta Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Va'avor Avoteinu Ve'imoteinu, Shebatchu Becha, Shebatchu Becha, Avinu Malkeinu. V'tilamdem chukei chayim, ken techoneinu tlamdeinu, Avinu Av harachaman, hamerachem rachem aleinu. V'tein belibeinu lehavin, lehavin u'laskil lishma, lilmod u'lelamed, lishmor ve'lasot, lekayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha b'yava. V'ha'erinenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levaveinu le'ahava u'yira et shemecha. V'ha'erinenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, u'yira et shemecha, le'ahava u'yira et shemecha.
The Shema is on page 2 in the middle.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Our Via Havta, Love Only Love, is on the bottom of page 2.
Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to the wisdom inside and around you. You will remember as you're walking through the days. Make this world a better place. Children will learn, and their futures will be love. Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to the wisdom inside and around you. You will remember in your home and on your way. Make your life a voice of God. Be a sculptor for the holy. Be a doorway for love. Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to the wisdom inside and around you. You will remember. You will remember. You will remember.
Who is like you, God, among the silent, mute, and inscrutable? You witness our pain. Once upon a time, the sea was split. Israel marveled at your outstretched arm. How many have cried out since then? How many have sunk beneath the waves? Centuries of innocent blood, lives lost to hunger, war, to cruelty, or indifference, and those who died with your name on their lips. And still they perish in distant lands, and still they languish on our chilly streets. Your creatures are drowning even now, so why should we sing? Ever silent, hiding out in history, you have your reasons, or so they say. You left us on our own, so let us give you leave. Withdraw into yourself, withhold your saving power, and we will live on memories of joy. And stubborn and stiff-necked will cling to hope and gather strength to fight the pharaohs when we must, and hold fast to freedom and celebrate in song and vow that we will never be among the silent. Mi chamocha, our prayer of redemption, page 3.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh feleh. Shira charasha שיבחו גאולים לשמחה על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל בעזרת ישראל ובדי חינומך יהודה וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We rise in body or spirit for our Amidah at the bottom of page 3.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur Ve'hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'konei HaKol Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot U'mevii Goel Livnei V'nehem Leman Shemo Ve'ahava Zochreinu L'chaim Melech HaFetz B'chaim V'chotvenu B'sefer HaChaim Lemancha Elohim Chaim Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'rofeh Cholim Umatir Asurim Umkayem Emunato Li Sheinei עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, מי כמוך אב הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו, בחיים ורחמים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Bottom of page 4. Let us proclaim the sacred power of this day. It is awesome and full of dread. For on this day your dominion is exalted, your throne established in steadfast love. There in truth you reign. In truth you are judge and arbiter, counsel and witness. You write and you seal, you record and recount. You remember deeds long forgotten. You open the book of our days, and what is written there proclaims itself, for it bears the signature of every human being.
ונתנה תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא ואיום, ובו תינשא מלכותך, ויכון בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת, כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח ויודע ועד, וחותם וסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרא, וחותם יד כל אדם בו.
On Rosh Hashanah it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed. How many shall pass on, how many shall come to be? Who shall live and who shall die? Who shall see ripe age and who shall not? Who shall perish by fire and who by water? Who by sword and who by beast? Who by hunger and who by thirst? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who shall be secure and who shall be driven? Who shall be tranquil and who troubled? Who shall be poor and who shall be rich? Who shall be humbled and who exalted?
בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון, כמה יעברון, וכמה ייבראון, מי ומלווה קיצו בראש השנה יכתבון וביום צום כיפור ויום צום כיפור יכתבון וביום צום כיפור ויום צום כיפור יכתבון מי מבראש ומי במים מי בחרב ומי בחיה מי ברב ומי בצמא מי ברש ומי במגפה בראש השנה יכתבון וביום צום כיפור ויום צום כיפור יכתבון וביום צום כיפור ויום צום כיפור יכתבון.
In a world of profane sights and ordinary thoughts, gossip crowds our speculation, and annoyance leaves no room to share people's sufferings. We pause before profane things drown us out, that we might dwell upon the specialness of life, the electricity of God's moments, the lonely splendor of certain places, the holiness that on rare occasions in our lives encircles us with the reality of God.
In rising to declare that holiness, it is as though we were to rise up from our ordinary space and stretch our senses beyond this room, beyond the pallid sights and sounds of daily life, to grasp, as once Isaiah did, a realm where angels might pour forth their perfect song.
We continue with a few moments of silent prayer. You may be seated when you're done. One of the joys of parenthood is an excuse to watch Disney movies. I love them. I love cuddling on the couch under blankets and getting lost in the worlds of animated films. Aria, my 4-year-old, knows I'm a sucker for Disney movies too. Because at all the moments she shouldn't be watching TV, she started asking me to watch with her. "I'll even let you choose the movie, Daddy," she says, with that beautiful blend of sweetness and manipulation. Like any kid, her Disney obsession ebbs and flows, but in recent weeks she started asking for Frozen again. And if you're a Frozen fan, this sermon is for you. On one of our recent rides to school, the song "When I'm Older" came on, an Olaf song performed by Josh Gad. I sang the words mindlessly. "This will all make sense when I am older. Someday I will see that this makes sense. One day when I'm old and wise, I'll think back and realize that these were all completely normal events." Ah! Oh my God, I thought, relating way too deeply to Olaf's "ah!" I'm supposed to be older and wiser, the one guiding these beautiful kids in the back seat through completely normal events that have completely disrupted our lives and upended everything we knew. And I don't know about you, but I don't think I'll ever look back on this moment in time and think, yeah, that all made sense. The older we get, the more we come to live with the uncertainty of life. Olaf later sings in the most Jewish verse of the song, growing up means adapting, puzzling at your world and at your place. And that's exactly what we're doing during the High Holy Days, trying to understand the world, trying to understand where we fit into it, our place in it, and trying to find inner peace while our outer world is so uncertain. There's a quip that life is like driving a car with an opaque windshield. All you have to go by are your rearview mirrors. And while I appreciate the perspective of those mirrors, it's still terrifying to be in the driver's seat. And once you hit a certain age in life, a certain stage of life, you're permanently in the driver's seat. So how do we deal with that fear, that insecurity, the uncertainty that comes with traveling into the unknown? We can't see the potholes or bumps. We can't see the accidents ahead or the bend in the road. It seems like our natural reaction should be to stop the car immediately, but that isn't a luxury we have in life. In fact, according to Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, Judaism regards a person who has stopped moving as someone who has lost their way. So instead of arresting our lives for the fear of what's to come, instead of stopping everything, our tradition actually suggests an alternative approach. No, we don't know what's ahead, but we can cultivate within ourselves menuchat hanefesh, an equanimity or a calmness of our inner soul. It starts by accepting that which we can't control. We can't control the world around us, and we shouldn't expect life to be a smooth and tranquil ride. In fact, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, the great 19th century Musar rabbi, writes that one who lives a life of calmness and tranquility in the service of God is actually remote from true service. And the Musar master Alan Marinas asks in response to that, what? Isn't spiritual practice supposed to make us more calm? What's the point of cultivating an inner life if it doesn't result in greater tranquility? But what Salanter is hinting at is that the human experience ebbs and flows with externalities. From Salanter's perspective, Marinas continues, if you have come to a place in your life where all the waters are calm and the waves still, there's a very good chance you're in a coma. Life is choppy, and the waves, they hit hard, and the rip current might pull you under and take you for a ride, but Judaism isn't about avoiding the sea. It's about learning to surf. Judaism is about leaning into human experience and all that it comes with, to live a full life by equipping ourselves with the tools and guideposts to find meaning and overcome adversity. And cultivating menuchat hanefesh is about an inner peace, not what's happening to us, but how we react. A famous teaching in this vein is by Rabbi Nachman of Breslav, made famous in the Jewish world by a folk song. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar me'od v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. The whole world is a very narrow bridge. And I said the most important part is not to be afraid. But the songwriters actually took some liberties and changed the words a little bit. The original text teaches us that every person crosses an exceedingly narrow bridge. It's part of life. Every single one of us crosses many narrow bridges, in fact. But the most important thing to get through it is not to scare oneself. Shelo yitpached, the Hebrew is in the reflexive. It's not about external factors, it's about internal ones. We're all driving with an opaque windshield, every single one of us. But when we face adversity, when we have to cross that narrow bridge, the thing that gets us into trouble, Rabbi Nachman says, is our own temperament. In Frozen, we find this message embedded in the storyline. The thing that wreaks havoc on the kingdom of Arendelle isn't Elsa's magic exactly, so much as her fear. She didn't choose how she was born. She didn't choose to discover her magical powers and have a host of trolls riding shotgun giving her directions. But that's where she is. And she's in control of her destiny. When she hits adversity, when her fear leads her magic astray and turns summer into winter in Arendelle, Elsa's reaction is to run away and build an ice palace where she can't hurt anyone, but where she also avoids life. where she sees no one, where, to quote the words of Alan Marinas, her serenity was nothing but a velvet-lined jail cell. Judaism provides us with the spiritual tools to withstand adversity, to meet it head on, not to run away from it. The goal of our spiritual life isn't enlightenment. It isn't a place where we no longer wrestle and have found ultimate peace. To Judaism, that's not truth. It doesn't reflect the reality of human experience. Our lives are roller coasters, much like the lives of generations of Jews before us. And Judaism knows that. Our spiritual task year-round, but particularly during the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe, is to reflect on our experiences and hone the skills and resilience needed to move through another year with more meaning, more purpose, and more fulfillment. There's a metaphor in the Talmud that compares the Jewish people to a reed. The reed stands in the water, and its shoots replenish themselves when they're cut. And even if all the winds in the world came and blew against that reed, they couldn't move it from its place. It just sways with them until the winds subside and the reed remains. There's something about this image, particularly this year, that I find so beautiful, so powerful, so inspiring in the face of everything that we've been through. The flexibility of the reed is its strength. Its gentleness absorbs so much of its surroundings. It goes with the flow. And that, for me, is a roadmap to menuchat hanefesh, to finding equanimity in a world that is so uncertain. Life throws so much at us, but when we bend like a reed, we, in fact, don't break. We don't uproot. We don't change who we are. We deal with the adversity. We learn to live with who we are. We grow and evolve. And that which we can't control, we let it go. Let it go. Gemar Chatima Tova, may we be inscribed for a good year, and may we face whatever challenges lay ahead like a reed. Thanks. We continue now with a Shamnu in the middle of page 5.
Ay, 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 ay. Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Virshanu, Zadnu, Chamasnu, Tafalnu Sheker, ay, 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 ay. Yatsnura, Kizavnu, Latsnu, Maradnu, Niatsnu,
We sin against you when we sin against ourselves. For our failures of truth, O Eternal One, we ask forgiveness. For pretending to emotions we do not feel, for using the sins of others to excuse our own, for denying our responsibility for our own misfortunes, for refusing to admit our share in the troubles of others, for condemning in our children the faults we tolerate in ourselves, for condemning in our parents the faults we tolerate in ourselves, for passing judgment without knowledge of the facts, for remembering the price of things but forgetting their value, for teaching our children everything but the meaning of life, for loving our egos better than truth.
ועל כולם אל הסליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We sin against you when we sin against ourselves. For our failures of love, O Eternal One, we ask forgiveness. For using people as stepping stones to advancement, for confusing love and lust, for withholding love to control those we claim to love, for hiding from others behind an armor of mistrust, for treating with arrogance people weaker than ourselves, for condescending toward those whom we regard as inferiors, for shunting aside those whose age is an embarrassment to us, for giving ourselves the fleeting pleasure of inflicting lasting hurts, for cynicism, which eats away our faith in the possibility of love.
ועל כולם אל הסליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We sin against you when we sin against ourselves. For our failures of justice, O Eternal One, we ask forgiveness for us and all humanity. For the sin of false and deceptive advertising. For the sin of keeping the poor in chains of poverty. For the sin of withholding justice from the world. For the sin of racial hatred and prejudice. For the sin of denying the existence of racial hatred and prejudice. For the sin of using violence to maintain our power, for the sin of using violence to bring about change, for the sin of separating ends from means, for the sin of filling the common air with poisons, for the sin of making our waters unfit for fish to live in and unsafe for us to drink, for the sin of pouring noxious chemicals upon soil, trees, and soil, for the sin of threatening life on this planet, for the sin of war, for the sin of building weapons of mass destruction, for the sin of obeying criminal orders, for the sin of lacking civic courage, for the sin of silence and indifference, for the sin of running to do evil, but limping to do good. For all our wrongs, God of forgiveness, we pray that you can forgive us. Let them go and wipe the slate clean. We hope that we can forgive ourselves.
ועל כולם אל הסליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
We turn now to Avinu Malkeinu, and we rise as we open the ark.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, ve'alul aleinu, ve'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei tever, ve'cherev ra'af, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kalei kotzar, u'mastin, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Kotveinu b'sefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chodesh Aleinu, Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
As I invite our Torah readers up to the Bima, I'd like to offer us all a prayer for our Torah reading this morning. May the reading of Torah be like prayer, a meditation to remind us what we strive for, a chant that binds us to the chain of generations. May the reading of Torah be like prayer, a moment of purest solidarity with our people's hopes and history, an invitation to affirm or dissent, to challenge or believe, to ask why and say Amen. May the reading of Torah be like prayer, flowing like waters that renew the spirit, refreshing and sweet to nourish our soul. May the reading of Torah be like prayer, every word a blessing, every verse a conversation with God.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom, av harachamim, heitiv avirtzonecha et Zion, tivnei chomot Yerushalayim, ki b'olam patachnu, ki b'chalebad patachnu, melech Aram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion Devar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael V'Kdushato Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh v'norah Shemo Gadolul Adonai iti uneromema Shemo yachdav.
You may be seated.
Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Ve'al Gemilut Chasadim Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Omed Ha'olam Omed
I'm so excited to do that and actually carry the Torah around with people again. We might view our Torah readings from the Torah and prophets this morning as though they were being introduced by the poignant words of our liturgy. Unatana Tokef, who will live and who will die, who by fire and who by water. And Ashamnu, and Al-Chet, confessions of failure and wrongdoing, defiance and sin. In this light, the Torah and Haftarah readings are inseparable from the prayers that come before them, resonating with the themes of this morning's liturgy: human frailty and human strength, mortality and morality, the discoveries we make as we grow and mature, obligation and responsibility, and above all else, the choices that are in our hands, individually and communally. In Deuteronomy 16 that we read this morning, we receive a vision of a just society and the charge, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. As we read these words, we recognize the power in our hands to create a world full of righteousness and contemplate the ways we can do it in the year to come.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lan barbanu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol she'arecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha lishvatecha v'shoftu et ha'am mishpat tzedek lo tateh mishpat lo takir panim v'lo tikach shochar ki hashochad ye'aver einei chachamim v'salef divrei tzadikim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We call on Unishol Weiss to read the second Aliyah.
Baruch et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Tzedek, tzedek, tir dov, leman, tehiyeh, v'yaras ta et haaretz, asher Adonai Elohecha, noten la. Lo titach lecha, asherah kol eitz, eitzel mizpach, Adonai Elohecha, asher te'aseh lach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'halei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
And we call on Emma Brownrigg for the third Aliyah.
Baruch et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamvarach
leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Lo tisbach l'Adonai Elohecha shor v'asech asher yehiyeh v'omun kol davarach ki to'avat Adonai Elohecha Adonai.
Eloheinu
melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam nata b'doheinu, baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah.
In the spirit of the holiday, I need to apologize to May. I think I might have given her the wrong portion. So she was our first reader, and I'm so sorry if I gave you the wrong portion. And thank you for being here and reading the blessing so beautifully.
We turn our thoughts now with the Torah in our midst to our loved ones who need a prayer of healing this Yom Kippur. We think of them, we think of the love and joy that they bring us and all of the healing that we pray for them. We bring their names into our hearts now.
Refaenu b'nei Raphael, help us heal each other in every way. Refaenu b'nei Raphael, help us heal each other in every way. In our bodies, in our souls, make us whole, make us whole. Refaenu b'nei Raphael, help us heal each other in every way. Let no one be alone. 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 Refaenu b'nei Raphael, help us heal each other in every way. In our bodies, in our souls, make us whole, make us whole.
Our Haftarah today comes from a particularly powerful section of Isaiah, chapter 58, that envisions a community that's based on a sense of social solidarity and common humanity. We're commanded to open our hands to those who are in need. Isaiah's words continue to resonate in our own day as a warning to the prosperous. If you hide the poor and the working class from your sight, you are apt to forget them. You become self-obsessed and callous in your personal lives, You make political decisions that suit your own interest and ignore their impact on the majority of your fellow citizens. You live in separate enclaves of privilege, rarely interacting with those who live with far less than you have. And that way of life impoverishes us all. Do not hide yourself from your own flesh and blood, says the prophet Isaiah. Do not turn your back on the poor. Recognize your kinship with them. Do not substitute this day of fasting and prayer for breaking the bonds of injustice. For the prophet, we are all one family, united in our humanity, and without one another, our community is not whole.
God says, cry aloud, do not hold back. Let your voice resound like a shofar. Declare to my people their transgression, and to the house of Jacob their sin. They ask of me the right way, as though eager for the nearness of God. When we fast, you say, why do you pay no heed? Why, when we afflict ourselves, do you take no notice? Because on your fast day, you think only of your business and oppress all your workers, because your fasting leads only to strife and discord and hitting out with cruel fist. Such a way of fasting on this day will not help you to be heard on high. Is this the fast I look for? A day of self-affliction, bowing your head like a reed and covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes? Is this what you call a fast, a day acceptable to the Eternal One? Is not this the fast I look for? To unlock the shackles of injustice, to undo the fetters of bondage, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every cruel chain? Is this not to share your bread with the hungry and to bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, clothe them, and never hide yourself from your own kin?
If you remove the chains of oppression, the menacing hand, the malicious work, if you make sacrifice for the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then shall your light shine in darkness and your night become bright as noon. The Eternal will guide you always. God will slake your thirst and drought and renew your body's strength. You shall be like a watered garden, like an unfailing spring. Your people shall rebuild the ancient ruins and lay the foundations for ages to come. You shall be called repairer of the breach, restorer of the streets in which to dwell.
We rise now for the returning of the Torah to the Ark.
Hallelujah, et Shem Adonai, ki nizkav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren li'amo, tehila lechol chasidav, livnei Yisrael, am kerovo, hallelujah, hallelujah. Eitz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar. Eitz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar. Deracheha dorchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuv
You may be seated.
Good morning. I am Paul Diamond.
And this is Jeremy Diamond.
There's still more to come today, and there are many community events coming up in the weeks ahead. Stay tuned to the weekly set list emails that you've been getting, and you can always check on the website to see what's happening. Later today at 11:30 is Hip Hop High Holidays with Rabbi Alex on Zoom. If you did not make it to the session on Rosh Hashanah, I encourage you to check it out. It was great. At noon is a virtual discussion of the sermons on Zoom again. And at 1 p.m. is a movie screening of Joachim Prince, I Shall Not Be Silent. He was a rabbi in Berlin and was expelled from Germany in 1937. He was ultimately one of the 10 leaders of the March on Washington with Dr. King. Details on how to watch the film are on the website. And I was curious and did a little, checked out the trailer. So I also posted the trailer on the website if you want to see it before actually watching the movie. It looks amazing and really interesting. And then at 2 p.m.
And at 2 p.m. and a discussion of the movie on Zoom.
Right. And then at 3:30, we will come right back here on YouTube for virtual Nila and Yizkor services. And we will be streaming the Tribute of Memory and Remembering starting at 3:15. Then, Friday the 17th, we'll be back tomorrow, Shabbat Nagan.
Friday the 24th will be dinner in the sukkah, and it's a barbecue, so come early, please RSVP, and it starts at 5:30. Please remember, the cereal food drive runs through Sunday the 19th. Also, Rabbi Alex class on Sunday at 10, in Judaism, God's opinion.
God optional.
Optional.
But he's got an opinion too, I'm sure. Or she. We really want to acknowledge the inimitable Rabbi Alex Kress.
That means the amazing, impossible to copy Rabbi Alex. Also, the incredible Cantor Rebecca Mursky.
And there are many, many more people we want to highlight. We'll name a few. There are so many people who put in so much effort and love into today and these last few weeks. The spectacular, amazing audiovisual team, we appreciate you.
Eric Charles, Jared Quinton, and Peter Quinton.
And the High Holy Day Committee of Cynthia Barzilai, Lori Brumfield, Marlene Cole, Lori Deitch, Robert Elliott, Jody Reichel, Brennan Schulweiss, Barbara Siegel, our amazing Kol Nidre cellist, I was blown away, Kimia Aframim, our musicians, Marissa Steingold,
Mike Stern, Peter Quinton, and Laura Kanowski.
Our youth choir, Sasha Cavell, Una Schulweiss, Emma Brownrigg, Miles Tobel, Shana Kadish. So many people It's been really wonderful. We all appreciate all that everyone's put in. There's a concept that Rabbi Neil talks about, that when two Jews meet, they don't say, "It's nice to meet you," but instead they say, "It's nice to see you," since we were all together at Sinai, way back when already. After so many months on Zoom at home for Shabbat, the first Friday in July when we all gathered in the Gan in person, wow, we were seeing our extended family for the first time in a long, long time, and we had gathered here at 1827, California, our shared home. There were also new faces that first Friday and on subsequent Shabbats, people who may be at Beth Shir Shalom for the High Holy Days the first time this year. It's very clear that those were never really new faces. We had seen you all before, and it's nice to see you again. This isn't really just a building, it's our communal home. It's the place we congregate as a community and where we build memories. I'm sure we all have them. My memory that stands out the most for me is standing right here with our daughter Ella making a speech at Jeremy's bar mitzvah and watching the two of them smile so bright and so wide and high-five each other about what a great job Jeremy did that day. That was pure joy for us. I want to remind you and ask you to support 1827 at 80. Our goal is to have 100% participation. Of course, at Beth Shir Shalom, it doesn't really matter what the amount you're able to support is. That's up to you. I'm just here to ask that everyone participate. You can use the envelopes you were provided or go on the website. There's a link under Services and Holidays for 1827. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you. We look forward to many more memories together here at 1827. And once again, it's nice to see you all. Thank you, and Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Jeremy, you're my favorite new spokesperson. And I think I have to make a new class called Is Judaism God Opinionated? I just want to, one programming note is that the movie is actually available all day. You can go on at any time and watch with the password that you have in your email. It'll be available through this evening, so it's a great break-fast film. You know, if you want to, I highly recommend it. Even Rabbi Neil loved it. It's the best. If our Justice Warrior loved it, a movie about another Justice Warrior, it's kosher. So, we conclude today, well, not today. We conclude this morning. We got a lot of way to go. We conclude this morning with Avinu Malkeinu, Gemar Chatima Tova. May we all be inscribed for a good year together.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu masim, aseh imanu, aseh imanu, aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu, aseh imanu, aseh imanu, aseh imanu, tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chaneinu v'aneinu, ki ein banu masim.
Gemar Tov.
Martov.